Hey everybody, Movie Reviewer Next Door here, and I'm back with another review. This time it is Saw 3D or Saw the Final Chapter. It's a horror thriller film from 2010, starring, directed by Kevin Gruder, starring Tobin Bell, Costas Mandylor, Betsy Russell, Sean Patrick Flanery, Chad Donella, and Carrie Elways. Now, you saw the title said spoilers. I'm spoiling the fuck out of this because I have to talk about it. So spoilers, if you didn't read, I don't know what to tell you. In this film, as a deadly battle rages over Jigsaw's brutal legacy, a group of Jigsaw survivors gathers to seek the support of self-help guru and fellow survivor Bobby Dagan, a man whose own dark secrets unleash a new wave of terror. So, what did I think of Saw 3D or Saw the Final Chapter? Well, this is one I was kind of in the middle on because for most of the film it's pretty all right, pretty middle of the road. It's what you expect in a Saw movie, but the way that it ends a lot of plot lines, I thought I'd bump it up to a decent. Because the review I had posted before says 6 out of 10, and then I thought again about how the ending affected everything, and yeah, it's a decent film in the series. Let me get to the cast. Tobin Bell plays Jigsaw. He only has one scene really, so saying that he stars in it is really pushing it at this point, especially because most of the last films have been him in flashbacks. It's still awesome to see him because I love Tobin Bell as an actor. Um, but yeah, uh, he's still good. Costas Mandylor plays Mark Hoffman. He's also not really in the film that much, but his scenes are very plot relevant. He does a good job. Betsy Russell's Jill Tuck. She's still on and off, being good and bad. When she's supposed to be a villain character, she's kind of just meh because I don't buy her being cocky and villainous. And there's this one part where she's running away from Hoffman and she's doing that hot girl run thing, where she looks like a model. She doesn't look like she's actually scared. She's like, oh, she's just scared enough to make it look sexy. And yes, Betsy Russell is very attractive, but you're in a horror movie. Let me adjust this. They get my camera's sagging. Sean Patrick Flanery plays Bobby Dagan. He's the newest uh person to be put in one of Jigsaw's whole things. Mark Hoffman did this one, but he does a really good job acting this role, and part of why I can't give the film higher than a 7 is something to do with the writing of his games, and I'll get to that. I want to talk about the good first. Well, no, I'll talk about the bad first, but uh, I'll get past that. He's a self-help guru. He lied about being in a Jigsaw trap, and then Jigsaw's like, "Mm-mm, I'm gonna put you through this shit." Chad Donella plays Gibson. Uh, if you watch the movie and you know who I'm talking about, you'll recognize this actor from Final Destination. He was I'm pretty sure the first guy that died. Um, yeah, he's there. He's not really that good. And Carrie Elwes is Dr. Gordon. He returns. Um, doesn't do a ton, but what he does do is pretty plot relevant. And yeah, I like Carrie Elwes. But here's the thing. This film, for about the first hour of it, I was thinking, it's okay. It's doing what a Saw film does. It has a very convoluted backstory or convoluted there's convoluted plot points it's trying to tie together. It's very, it's just a very convoluted thing. Does it make sense to me? Yes. I think for the most part, the whole story of who is involved in the Jigsaw's like thing makes sense to me. I know that it can feel like they're just basically pulling straws at this point, but to me, I really enjoy the whole like convoluted soap opera-y thing that they're going for. Even like there's certain movies that do it more than others, but for a lot of movies in the series, there is that kind of soap opera like effect on the actors, kinda, just enough that you can notice it. But it does feel like police. It feels like a police procedural, a horror film, and a soap opera had a magnificent, ridiculous looking baby. And again, for the first hour of this film, I was like, yeah, I'm not hating it. I'm not loving it. It's doing what a Saw film should do. Kevin Gruder seems to understand what the fans want. And then the last 30 minutes happens. And a lot of things happen that I remembered one of the things happening, but I did not remember the other. The thing I remembered happening, and spoilers, again, I hate that I have to say this, but spoilers. I remembered Jill Tuck dying. I remembered Hoffman getting his revenge on Jill Tuck, which Jill Tuck is a character. There are people that'll say, like, she's innocent or whatever, but she could have chosen to not do what Jigsaw wanted her to do, and she would have been just fine. If anything, she allowed all these games to happen because she knew that all of them were happening and just chose to do nothing about it. She left it all up to Hoffman and didn't even, like, try to get him convicted. And now the only reason she's trying to like get him convicted is so that he won't kill her when she tried to kill him. Uh, and the thing I didn't remember happening, and super spoilers, because this is the ending of the film, fucking Hoffman, after killing Jill Tuck, you find out that Dr. Gordon has also been on this whole thing, which is very interesting. And he ends up kidnapping Hoffman, putting him in the original bathroom. The original bathroom. I mean this. The original bathroom from the first and second films. He's in there. He picks up the hacksaw when Hoffman tries to grab for it, and he says, I don't think so. Throws it into the hallway and then shuts him in there for good. And I'm sorry, but that is karmic vengeance if I've ever seen it. Because yeah, there are people that'll argue Jill Tuck didn't deserve what she got. If anything, I'd say I'm half and half on it. Cause yeah, she did. I don't know if she deserved to be murdered, but she did know about all of these games going on. She could have chosen not to try to kill Hoffman. Hoffman wouldn't have tried to kill her if she hadn't tried to kill him. And it kind of seems like they kind of played her character in a way where she could turn off the evil anytime, and it kind of got annoying. But I'm glad she's dead, so that I don't have to deal with her anymore. Um, but and also freaking Hoffman going out the way he does is very fucking deserved, especially given what he's put people through in the past few films. And yeah, I found it to be a very it was satisfying. If I can say anything about this film, it's that it ends the first seven film story in a satisfying way. I liked it. What doesn't work, however, you have all this satisfaction, and then you have the Sean Patrick Flannery part of the film. And also the cop, the guy from Final Destination's plot. What I will say, the Final Destination guy's plot is kind of pointless. It kind of reminded me of Saw 4, the multiple talking scenes at the police station that got really boring really quick. If anything, his plot is very just milk toast. It doesn't add anything really. He's just there to die, um, along with other cops. Sean Patrick Flannery's game could have been well executed. Most of the traps are like beatable, yes. And but here's the thing. I feel like because the direct Kevin Gruder and the writers thought that they were gonna go out with a bang, well, the producers, um, originally there were supposed to be more people that were in the traps and there were supposed to be more people that survived. Because this is another one of the films in the series where no one survives the traps. I'm not going to count the clip that they show from the last film where Hoffman survives that trap because that's technically in the last film. You saw that he had survived it. Um, but every trap in this film that takes place in this film, there are no survivors. There's one bit with the Jigsaw survivor group that where the woman survives a trap, but that's a flashback. I mean, in the current games, no one survives their traps, except technically Sean Patrick Flannery. The thing that pisses me off about Sean Patrick Flannery's whole thing is I like the concept of, oh, he's a scammer basically. He's scammed people into believing he's a survivor of the Jigsaw games or whatever, and that he was put through this certain game. He has this whole backstory for it. He has his PR crew, and he's a self-help guru. And it's all because he saw it on TV and wanted a piece of the action, which could be a good commentary on self-help gurus who make money off of being disingenuous just to feel like they've helped people and they've like deluded themselves into thinking that they're helping people. And one of the big issues with the Sean Patrick Flannery portions of the film, it's not his acting. He does a really good job acting. The other people in his posse aren't bad either. Gina Holden, I do like Gina Holden. I legitimately like her as an actress, and it's a shame she mostly gets TV movies. She usually just plays moms in TV movies. She was in a movie called Sleeping with My Student, which wasn't good, but she did a good job in it. I wish she was in more actual, like, theatrical films or just movies that I cared a bit more about because she is good in this film and what happens to her character is not deserved at all. Because think about it, the PR crew knew his whole story was bullshit. The lawyer knew it was bullshit. The guy that's like his um I forgot what exactly he was, but there's also the publicist. They all three of them knew that he was lying. They knew. His wife did not. And apparently, the writers, Mark Dunstan and Patrick Melton, in the writer's commentary for final chapter, said that originally she was not supposed to be in a trap at all. She was going to just be wondering where her husband is. And at the end, she was going to be on the TV or something, and the husband was going to die originally. I think for not owning up to being he kept not owning up to lying, and then it would turn out she would end up taking his place as being in being a self-help guru on like husbands lying to you or something. I feel like that would have been a way more interesting plot point because he's a very fucking unlikable character because it is his fucking fault that his wife is in the trap. I understand this is a rewrite, and it does come off as a rewrite meant to just put more gore in the film, which this film has more to offer than just the gore. The gore is well done, but the issue is the film was shot in 3D. So I watched it in 2D, and it's always had this problem. The color grading of the blood that makes the blood look less realistic. Makes it look very pink, and that is because they are merging together the two plates, the blue and red plates, I guess, basically, to make it a 2D image so that you're not watching red and blue shit all the time. But even with that, the film, if the film had just focused on Jill Tuck, Hoffman, and Gibson's characters, I feel like it would be an easy 8 because you could have developed more about Jill, you could have more developed a bit more about Hoffman even, and even more about Gibson because Gibson and Hoffman have a history together, and Gibson just kind of feels like he's there to die. And that's a big issue with these films, is characters will just be there, they'll return just to die, or they'll like in Saw 4 when Jeff came back, he was just there to die and then or get shot. And in Saw 6, uh the Detective Perez or Agent Perez was just there to die. The other guy was just there to die. The hacker chick was there to die. And it kind of felt like they were just trying to tie up loose ends as quick as possible. And even though I like the scene and the way it's done, the whole um right now you're feeling helpless, that thing, it did still feel kind of shoehorned in just to get rid of these characters because they didn't know what to do with them. Um, but overall, this film, I don't think it's a lost cause. Yes, the whole thing with the wife character dying the way she does in such a brutal way, it's a very brutal death. Like, they put her in the fucking brazen bull. Like, that's a medieval torture device. At least the others, it was just like, oh, we stabbed your throat. Oh, we stabbed your eyes and mouth. We hung you. That one, it's just you slowly burn to death. Like, this character doesn't even know anything about it. I can understand why it doesn't sit well with a lot of people. That felt actually exploitative because she didn't deserve that at all. And the whole thing about Jigsaw only does this to does the his games don't ever involve people that don't deserve it or whatever. She didn't deserve it at all. She didn't know anything about it. But knowing that that's a rewrite and a lot of shit was rewritten for this movie, it does feel like it at times. This film does feel like a bit of a mess when they're not dealing with the Jill Tuck and Hoffman relationship. But overall, I found it to be decent. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It's a decent entry in the Saw series. So that was my review of Saw 3D or Saw the Final Chapter. If you've seen the film, let me know what you thought in the comments. Let me know what I should watch next, and movie review next door. Out.